Welcome to another edition of the GrAE Area. I'm Isaiah Rose, Ask Isaiah. I'm with Frank Tier. This edition is really to encapsulate what's going on in the NBA right now. Obviously, the world has been affected not only by COVID-19, but the uprisings that have come from the fight against police brutality all over the world, as previously discussed on previous episodes, with the deaths of not only George Floyd, but uh, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and so many others in recent history. Um, it's affected so many different aspects of the Black community that the sports community has now had to pivot not only from health scares and trying to get everything together for that, but now some players apparently have had some reservations in regards to the fight against systematic oppression, and it might potentially throw a wrench in the NBA resuming uh, in late July. So, Frank, I wanted to get your thoughts on how this on how this whole thing manifested, starting with Kyrie Irving, and what are your thoughts on where this could potentially go, and we'll go from there.
So yeah, a few things, right? Kyrie Irving, I'm always pretty outspoken, right? Always vocal. He is now the vice president of the players association. Is that what it is?
Yeah, NBA
Right.
president.
So he takes this stance. He's like, hey, we shouldn't play like at all. I mean, like we shouldn't play. While this is going on, I'm not with the in quote. I'm not with the generation BS. And something smells fishy. So that's where I'm a little lost by it, right? So I will say this about Kyrie Irving. Intelligent kid, right? Intelligent dude. I mean, well read. Someone who's been to good schools all his life, really well read, really well studied, right? But sometimes someone whose ideas the dots don't always connect. You've heard the incidents about, of course, he's a flat earther person, right? He's one of those folks, flat earth.
He's willing to go down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories at times.
Yeah. It's time he asked Brad Stevens, what the government mean to you, right? And Brad Stevens knew, like, let me not get caught up in this. So he turned it around. He said it means control, right? So a guy who, I don't mean to insult. I hope it's not insult, but like always wants to look smart as opposed to probably being it, right? Or and with this, so yeah, I can fully get on. I can fully understand why some players don't want to play, right? A lot going on in our country. People who look like us aren't respected. Cool, right? But I do think it coming from him is a tad bit convenient and both short-sighted, right? This wasn't his tune a few weeks ago, right? This is a player who's not even going to play, right? He has no vested interest in this, right? Both him and KD are out for this year. His tune has changed a few times. A few weeks ago, he wanted, like, if they had saunas, if he could rehab there, right? So it was just a lot of things going on. He was told to stay home, I believe. So I guess it's really hard for me to get on board that he went from that to fully not wanting to go because of what's transpired, right? And while that is valid and while I can understand, even if that was fully the case, so folks are asking for the country to be reformed, right? It has to be reformed. It's never been equitable for Black people. There's just never, right? It was never set that way. However, a lot of these reforms, right? Progress is going to be measured in increments, right? This won't be an overnight fix. It won't be a month fix, a year or so, right? So my question is, are you willing to not play basketball again until things change? Like, what do you want to see? And also, as we know, the NBA is a pretty progressive league, right? The beef isn't with the NBA per se. Players do have a lot of leverage. I think it makes sense to go with the league with demands like, hey, we want this plastered all over the screen while we play. We want to wear armbands or something in solidarity. Every post-game interview, we're going to reiterate this. And also, the NFL has donated, $250 million over 10 years. Cool, but not the most. They could even ask for, hey, I want some of the proceeds, from this contract to go to communities and organizations invested in developing and helping Black communities. So I just think there's a lot of things you can do as opposed to not playing. I don't know what not playing now solves, because do you plan to not play forever until some of these things are achieved? Because some of these fixes we're asking for won't be achieved even when the next season rolls around. So how long do you play this out? So I do think it's like it's a goal lofty where I'm not sure if folks who are advocating for it really see or know an end in sight, right? And Chris Bouchard brought up a good point that I want to see these Black players hook up with Black economics, Black legal minds, Black scholars to see, I mean, what they can do to bring about change. Because I think we are in a unique moment, as opposed to the '60s where, you know, Ali protested the Vietnam War, Russell and Jabbar and Jim Brown were really vocal against reservations in this country. Those players, right, they were powerful, right, but they didn't have the autonomy and the power that sports figures have today. So I do think we are in a unique moment where players are really influential, but I just don't see how not playing fixes some of the things that they're hoping to address.
Great points. I wanna build on your Jim Brown, Ali, Bill Russell point as well. Kyrie, in the initial leaking of some of the excerpts from the players meeting this past Friday, in which Kyrie Irving voices displeasure with going to Orlando, he said he's willing to give all of it up to fight systematic oppression, right? And I say that thinking back to when Ali protested the Vietnam War and didn't want to go. He was an active fighter, utilizing his platform. And in doing so, they stripped him of his title. He didn't want to not fight. He wanted to fight. You can look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. When he was speaking up, Bill Russell, they were active participants in their field, and being elite were able to draw attention to what they were speaking about. Now, to your point, they were very popular and powerful amongst the collective, but they didn't necessarily have the leverage that players have now. So yes, players have leverage now, but if you're Kyrie Irving, wouldn't you want to use this opportunity and the power and the light on the sport to speak to what he wants? That would make sense. For him to say he's willing to give it up, then give it up. Do that. Walk away. You made enough money. You understand the magnitude of the situation, right? And to your point, and everybody understands this is a unique time. We're starting to see policy change now. We're starting to see government officials really understand that this is going to have to change. Not only with this, but just from COVID and things like that. Things are definitely shifting at this time. So to do that and walk away from your platform, walk away from at the height of the light and attention that you can bring, for him to say that, it seems really empty. And I think you're starting to see a lot of pushback from players within the league that don't necessarily have the security that he has. Ed Davis, a power forward for the Utah Jazz, he said it's easy for Kyrie Irving to say that. It's easy for Dwight Howard, who's in support of Kyrie Irving and his stance, to say that, knowing that they've had substantial careers and have security in ways that other players don't. They can't afford not to have a season right now and take care of their families in that way. And not to say that they don't support, to your point, what Kyrie Irving is saying, everybody's in support of that. You want to stop systematic oppression. You want to be able to fight and change the world. But it's not going to happen overnight. And by you doing that and forcing the league to have to shut down, not only will you affect the players right now, but it's going to have a ripple effect that's not going to impact social change.
Yeah, for sure. it's odd, right? If Kyrie chooses to walk away from basketball now, right, then that's his platform. His platform is being a sports star. Then
Right.
you leave your platform, right? Like, just imagine when Kaepernick was doing what he was doing, right? Kneeling and lifting stuff. Imagine if Kaepernick was an MVP quarterback doing that. It would be a lot bigger, right?
That's
So,
why Patrick Mahomes, even
yeah,
in the smallest sense,
yeah,
when they released the NFL video asking for an apology for the NFL internally encouraging or discouraging players to speak out,
yeah,
and they wanted an apology for Kaepernick as well. They
yeah,
didn't quite get that, but when Roger Goodell saw Patrick Mahomes in the video, that forced him to act.
yeah.
So when Kaepernick did it, he's a backup quarterback.
Yep.
Not only will, as great as an athlete as he was, it was easy for them to relegate him to the shadow.
Yeah, for sure, right?
Obviously, he's bigger than anybody could have imagined, even being
Yeah,
on the field
yeah,
now. But
yeah.
at the time, it was easy to dismiss him. You can't dismiss an MVP quarterback, to your point.
You can't dismiss Lamar Jackson this year, right?
Right.
You can't dismiss a Cam a few years ago. You
Right.
can't dismiss Donovan in his prime, right? So it's like if you continue to play and you still nice, right, and you still elite, then your platform is even bigger, right? Which is why LeBron gets the praise that he does, right? Because he is the second biggest basketball player of all time, right?
Mhm.
Like he's just as popular as Mike may have been. I mean, at some point, right? Just his name recognition, right? So for
Right.
him
Yeah. That definitely. Yeah.
to speak on these like not more popular, but just name
Like name recognition, being at the forefront of
people
the
who
league.
like know
Right.
LeBron. I mean,
Right.
so
Mhm.
for him to speak on these things is big because this is the biggest person ever speaking on these things, right? So, but if these guys walk away from it, then I mean their star dims, right? So I think it makes the most sense to while you have your moments, add these things to your moment. So yeah, again,
Especially,
go ahead.
not to cut you off, but
Good.
especially when you're in a league that encourages this.
Yeah, right. Like
Your
you have
part
no
is
restrictions.
right.
Yeah,
It's not like they're in the NFL and they're sensing that the NFL doesn't want you
nope.
to be
Yeah,
outspoken, or they don't want you to be on the front lines. This is a league that has faces of franchises
yeah,
outside with the people,
yeah,
outside on the front lines, walking for hours,
yeah.
handing out goods to people. They are
And
there.
the best players, right? Like
Right.
the like elite players, like not Joe Smos, like Russell Westbrook, like DeMar DeRozan. I mean, like people on the
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson,
yeah,
Giannis
like
Antetokounmpo.
yeah,
Come
like
on.
and also the most notable coaches like Pop and Kerr are the most popular coaches of the last 15 years besides the Phil Jackson, right? So and they also move vocal. So I don't know if boycotting the NBA is the route you want to go down because that's I think that's if there was a league where that made the least sense, I think it's that league, right? Like this isn't the NHL, this is not MLB. Like you guys are NBA players are the most empowered and they're also the most popular, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of like everybody may not be able to name a baseball star you walk down the street. I mean, like they don't have the same face recognition. You all know LeBron. You all know anyone know Dame Lillard. You know what I mean? So you know all these guys, right? Like their personalities are way bigger than than the teams. Like they all have their own celebrity, like they're celebrities, right? So it's just like I mean I guess I can applaud the idea behind it, but I think it's an endless goal because I don't know where it goes. Like I don't even know if Kyrie actually has demands, right? Like okay, Kyrie, if you don't want the league to start right, if you push it out, what do you want to see happen? Like what do you want the NBA to do? I mean, to show you down. I mean, because like, like what is his idea, right? Like,
right. At least if at least if he would have came to the table on some.
Yeah.
All right. I don't agree with going, but if we do go, let's do this as an alternative to make sure that we keep the attention on this. To your point earlier, whether in some way solidarity or make sure that they allot some time to speak on to continue to voice and speak. That's something that the NBA will encourage in some way. I mean, you got LeBron James on during press day, during the initial pressures of a season, he's going at Donald Trump for 10 minutes,
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes. This is the face of the NBA. When the season is starting, he's making sure, look, I gotta make sure I tap into this before we even get into anything basketball. So for the league to encourage that, and I think that's something that Adam Silver wanted to touch on just last night, and speaking about the platform that the NBA will have. He said while all of this is going on, and he understands that it is a big sacrifice for everyone involved to want to have to come back and play. He understands that sacrifice. This is an opportunity for the NBA to step up
set the standard, right?
For everything. And I think in recent history, over the last 20 years or so, especially within the last 15 years, they have been at the forefront of so many different social issues that you would give them the benefit of the doubt to say, well, they are going back and play during a very sensitive time, but they have an opportunity to really make something happen, or at least continue to shine a light on something.
Yeah. Well, I may have actually lost part of my thought. It'll come to me. Sheesh. Yeah, I was speaking about Kyrie. Yeah, it's just I don't know what comes next, right? Like if we sit out, like, and this is what I was gonna say. The fact that if we stop, I think Lou Williams, if you stop playing ball, is gonna be a distraction. Like, I think that's an insult to people's intelligence, right? I think can people not separate a 2-hour basketball game to people being killed by cops in the street? Like, I just don't understand. Like, do they think that their basketball games are going to take over social media? Like, everybody's still posting RIP, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, from the police. We'll still post that, right? Like, these game videos, when they go viral, everybody doesn't even watch sports, right? So, like the hot topic is what's going on with black folks in this country, right? Hot topic. These players who will be playing will also be talking about that. So I don't know how the NBA starting kills that momentum. Like, only ESPN is hosting the games. News cycles 24/7 is about Black Lives Matter, police brutality, right? So I just don't know how people feel like this is a distraction. I don't get it. Like, I think people are like, unless this moment wasn't real to begin with, right? Then cool. Then if you think basketball is enough to throw this off, then this wasn't sufficient anyway. This wasn't meant to last anyway, right? Because I think people have played through other tumultuous times, right? And the folks still going outside rally ain't gonna say, nah, I'll be back by 8 to get that game. They still gonna be in the streets, right? They're still outside. So I just don't think these two things sort each other. I don't think they cut off. Like, I don't think the NBA starting back undercuts what's being worked, the work being done now. And I think anyone who continues to say this to say that is a bit short sighted. Like, I can't personally see it.
Well, as momentum starts to build from this is all happening within the weekend, and this is now Tuesday. So
5 days, yeah.
If you look at how the momentum is growing, the NBA is still moving on. Adam Silver presented players with the opportunity to say, well, if you don't want to play, you can stay home. And he let players know that you will have to notify teams by June 24th, because June 23rd is when they're going to start the testing for the virus. Yeah. So with that said, do you expect a large contingency of players to sit out?
Where we are now, we June 16th. I don't know. Like, before, I thought, all right, nobody gonna hear what Kyrie's saying like that, but I do think it's picking up steam. So I don't know if I expect a lot of folks to sit out, but I do think that this will have more gravity under it than initially assumed. I can't say that. I can't give you numbers, but I think momentum has really picked up for this. Momentum and support, right? And we've seen that in some instances public opinion carry things over. So social media, I see people saying they shouldn't play bigger than that, right? So it does look like this is gaining traction across the board. So yeah.
The thought that because recently over the weekend, Patrick Beverly said, "Well, hoopers, I'm just letting y'all know, if LeBron James wants to hoop, then we hooping. It's just business. Stay woke." A lot of people took that as, well, LeBron James is powerful enough to say, well, if he's playing, then we're all going to play.
Mm-hmm.
So that means it's not, the show's not stopping if the star of the show says we're going to play.
Yeah.
And while that's how I took it, many people think it's a shot at LeBron.
I think it's a shot.
So you think it's a shot?
Especially in comparison to what Pat Bev has posted before that, right? Okay. Had also said like he not trying to play. I mean, it's bigger than that. And then he posted. You already know how I feel about the stay woke phrase. I mean, not my favorite term, right? But LeBron uses it often, and then Pat Bev used it often. So I think that was I think that was a definite shot at him. It was like, or how would we feel not important? LeBron trying to hoop, we hooping, right? I think it was a shot.
Well, to that point, maybe, but I do think though, when he says if LeBron's saying he wants to hoop, then we're all gonna hoop. I think that's to the unification of the star players. A couple weeks back, there was a Zoom call that had the who's who of all stars. Yeah. And while LeBron obviously wants to play, for him to really push that point home. This is before all of the deaths. This is before the recent deaths, I should say.
Yeah.
You had LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, who's not playing, Steph Curry, who's not playing, Damian Lillard, who is in the ninth spot of the playoff standings wise. You had all of those stars together on a Zoom call. The only one that was missing was James Harden in terms of star power.
Yeah.
To have the solidarity of the collective of all of those stars. I think LeBron James is the face of that, but I don't think it's just him. I think having Steph Curry, having KD, having those guys behind him saying we're gonna see this through, we gotta remain unified.
Yeah.
That's the driver. That's the driver's seat more so than LeBron. LeBron is the face of it, but the core players understand we're gonna see this through regardless.
Yeah, we know that, right? But I think there's always a misconception based off like repeated posting on social media that LeBron is behind everything, right? Like, so even though we know it's a collective decision, right? Like, Patty Beverly saying that hopefully, oh yeah, LeBron was the GM in the first 7 years, although he didn't have nobody on his team, right? LeBron was the GM in Miami, GM everywhere, right? So I think there's just there's a narrative about LeBron having this limitless power in the NBA, right? And this what he says go. So while we know it's a support, I think, and that's why I think it was a dig for sure, because I think that Pat Bev, because even earlier in the year, Dr. Rivers said, well, LeBron runs the Lakers, we run this over here, right? So I think there's this narrative that it's what LeBron says go anywhere, right? And I think that's more why I think Pat Bev's like statement was a shot at him, because like the LeBron having this endless power to our voices don't mean nothing. If he hooping, if we hooping, the league is back on because this is his league. He wants the league.
So with that said, how divisive do you think this would be for the league? Being that there is a growing contingency of players that have, if you're not fully on Kyrie's side, you have some reservations to some degree. You had some rookies come out and say, well, can the league assure us some insurance within the window before the collective bargaining agreement due to the corona? Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. So you have some players, not necessarily on the social justice side of things, but just from a health perspective.
Yeah.
How divisive can this be to the league if they do go forward?
It can be a little divisive. It can get there, right? We're a few days in. we're hearing more players, like we're hearing a little more folks, right? Who knows what happens tomorrow, the day after 6/16. So yeah, this could be a mini rift, I believe, about because yeah, on top of social justice or the racism issue, there is still a virus out there, right? That's rising in half of the states in this country. So I think there's still concerns over that. Cartown lost his mom to it. I'm sure other players have lost like loved ones to it as well. So I think there's a multitude of safety concerns, right? Both safety wise and just what's happening in the world. Where yeah, this could draw a little wedge between folks. I think that's a definite possibility. Without saying.
Well, if the league does shut down, I mean, obviously we got to be aware it is business. If
Yeah.
it shuts down, the league will lose up to over $1 billion.
Yeah.
That's going into potentially, if they do shut down, it would be a potential lockout going into next year.
Yep.
Which to your point about the rift, that could affect the CBA. If the players are divisive going against the owners in a collective bargaining agreement, the owners are going to be going to have all the leverage.
Yeah.
So there is pros on the business side to finishing the season, just making sure you can wrap this up and generate some money. But at the same time, I feel like we said throughout this conversation, if they do go forward, the NBA does have an opportunity to utilize this platform to address everything that players are saying. If you want to go forward and finish, you gotta understand that this is that you do have a voice. You're in a league that encourages that voice. Use that voice. You shouldn't. This is my opinion. You shouldn't go away from your platform and diminish the light.
Nope.
You shouldn't do that, because at the end of the day, when you look at all of the players that have reached the highest plateaus of the game, highest peaks of the game, and were outspoken, what helped it was their platform.
Yep.
You get what I'm saying? So I don't agree with anything Kyrie is saying in regards to the way he's going about it. I don't agree with it. Yes, fight systematic oppression. We all trying to do it. We all about blacks and just empowerment and trying to make sure that we get our just due in not only civility but respect. All of that. But at the same time, it got to be done in a constructive way.
Yeah.
Don't be destructive. I feel like Kyrie is being destructive.
Yeah. And again, with him, it's really hard to know his angle, right? He's spoken against just the fourth time. He spoke against like racism towards like both black folks and Native American folks. However, a few days ago, he was talking about rehabbing their saunas, right? So it's just hard to separate if this is like a selfless issue or if this is a personal, gripe. Like if him and KD were both healthy, right, and had a chance to win this chip, does he still want to stay home? Like, I don't know. Like, it's a question. Like, is he really willing to give it? Would he be willing to give up winning a chip without LeBron? Like, that'd be big for him. I mean, because he really cares about where he is and how he looks at his placement. So, if he was playing and he was in contention for championship, would he feel the same way? I personally think he wouldn't. Right? I could be wrong, but I think he would. So I think this is a bit opportunistic, right? Especially when you consider what the way his tone has changed about certain things the last 2 weeks or so.
So with like you said this is a sensitive window coming up.
Yep.
Players having to June 24th to let teams know they're gonna play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within that 8-day period. Well, 7 now. It's the 16th now, so it'll be 7 days. Within that 7-day period, what I don't want to say changes, but what things can you see happening to really shift momentum if it was to go either way?
I think the way it is now, most people are probably leaning towards playing, right? But I think if somehow we see more folks come out of this playing and someone bigger possibly come out of this playing,
okay, more prominent,
yeah,
okay.
Then I think folks have something to. I think a discussion needs to be had because Yeah, like LeBron's not gonna go against Fame, but like if for Kawhi or for George or someone, then yeah, it's getting a little because Kyrie's already is a sizable star already.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think what generated more credence to it, to the actual opinion or this side of the coin is the fact that he's probably a third tier, third tier type star.
Yeah.
But his name can generate enough to be the face of it.
Yep.
If you look at all of the other players that are in support of him, it's like Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard, players of that stature. Role players, Dwight Howard, a former star, but he doesn't really move the chain or doesn't move the needle. But
Carmelo's probably more influential than he is a star right now. But again, people don't. I mean, like he was out of the NBA last year, so.
Right. So I think that part of it plays a part, but to your point, you said it has to be a more sizable, more substantial star. So okay.
And more of them. Yep.
Okay. So if you see like a Giannis or Kawhi, then maybe they'll think about it.
You may not play. Yeah. If Giannis Kawhi will open the opposing end, I don't know. This season could be a dub. So.
Well, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of players working out. Woj says, to your point, Woj says, Adrian Wojnarowski said the league is more in line with playing. I think a lot of the conversations that Adam Silver is trying to jump out there at the forefront now and let people know that they're going to play, but they're going to use the platform as a means to continue the conversation and not get lost. So I think that's a good point. Before we get out of here, is there anything that you've seen? Is there anything that you've seen over the last couple of days in regards to how this fight against police brutality and systematic oppression? Is there anything that you've seen from the sports landscape that has shifted your way of thinking in terms of how leagues have handled it? Or because from our previous conversations we spoke about how leagues, brands, they have to be on the right side of history in this moment. So is there anything that you've seen that maybe people have shifted?
Shifted, no. I think the NBA has been what we expected. The NFL has, I think, copped the plea, right? Like, because they could have done this 3 years ago, right? But they waited till it was popular to do this. So I think they'll ever be looked at funny, or at least they'll be watched closely from going on. I haven't the soccer it's not UEFA, but I think is it Premiership League? Prominent league. I think is paying to host Black Lives, wear like Black Lives Matter on the uniform, right? I think that's huge, right? Because as you know, soccer in Europe notoriously, like the players are abused, like racially abused, right? Like bananas thrown on the field, called monkey, right? So N-word slur. So I think that's good. I'll look up. I do forget which league it was, but yeah, like they're paying to wear Black Lives Matter on uniform. So I think that's huge, right? Like that's really big because soccer is the most popular sport worldwide. Like basketball has court grounds, right, and may overtake it in 3 years. But soccer still, like you're talking about like TV contracts, name recognition is like Cristiano Ronaldo has the most Instagram followers. I mean, period of everyone, right? So that's pretty big. I guess I probably wouldn't care anyway, but I haven't seen if the NHL said anything about it. Maybe they have, but I'm not sure like how serious I'll take that. So I should look into that. That'd be interesting, right? To see what a predominantly white league has said. So, but yeah, more the same.
With baseball, the MLB, it seems like they can't get out of their own way in regards to where they when they're going to be playing or how many games they're going to play. But one of their former players, Torrey Hunter, he played on the Minnesota Twins for a substantial period of time in his career. In the AL, played on the Angels as well. He came out and spoke out against Boston, and not necessarily the Red Sox, but the town of Boston and how difficult it was to play there, and how throughout the years he's heard multiple racial slurs, and he put it within all of his contracts. No matter what happens, where he was traded, he will not go to Boston.
Yeah.
And I thought it was big that the Boston Red Sox released a statement that basically acknowledged what he said, and took responsibility for their fans' actions and the experiences of the opponent and what they have to go through. Not only the players, but people that have to work within the grounds.
Yeah.
Like they really acknowledge that, and this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
A lot of different reporters, players outside of baseball have said that Boston is a racist town. All these different things, and to see the Red Sox come out in that way and acknowledge that and try to take some responsibility, I thought that was pretty big.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I agree with that. No, people don't like. Everyone has spoken about Boston and how bad it's been for players. So I think that was a pretty cool step. The English Premier League is what is the league that the most popular, right? Like that's going to replace shirts with Black Lives Matter. But that's huge. It'll be interesting to see how their fans respond to that. Right? I want to see that because the players, I think, more or less. Although I mean, some of the players from those Western, I mean, European countries, they're probably got some bias towards them as well. But it will be because football stadiums, soccer stadiums get packed, right? Like they can hold really large crowds. So it will be
60,000.
Yeah, right. To see how that's received. That would be because I think for the most part, basketball fans are like how the league is for the most part, right? Football is weird. Football is you see folks mad at Kaepernick for kneeling, but basketball is on the right side of history. For the most part, football fans are weird. I mean, a lot of like Southern folks, rednecks, right, who love football, like Sunday beer drinking, gun toting. But soccer, right? I think that could be really polarizing. So I want to see how that looks. And I want to do judges off the sell because I'll probably cop one.
Well, it's funny you say that in terms of, obviously they worry about the bottom line and fan reaction. Obviously the NFL, 3 years removed from Colin Kaepernick, really was conservative in regards to how their fans will address certain things. That's why they didn't necessarily move to signing him, or they made sure they stayed clear of him, but they took a hit from a public relations standpoint forever.
A big one.
NASCAR, who is bathed in Southern culture, those down bottom states, they're bathed in Confederacy.
Yeah.
A lot of different tracks would fly the Confederate flag.
Yeah.
At their racetracks. And with everything happening and all of these different entities and brands having to be on the side of Black Lives Matter and understanding fighting against police brutality, you had NASCAR remove all Confederate flags. They banned it from flying at their racetracks. One of their drivers, who was actually horrible, he didn't win any races his entire career. He quit because he said he didn't agree with it. It was against, So while he was really the only one to really speak out publicly, it's interesting to see, to your point, not only with the fans but how the players will react to just all of this as well.
Especially there, right? And someone has planned to. I forget the driver's name, but he's gonna ride like the Black Lives Matter on his car. So that would be cool, right? So it will be cool to see how fans react. I think we'll hear a lot more interesting stories once like sports season picks up again, if it picks up again. Because then that's how we'll see how the inclusion or Black Lives Matter message will be received by their fans, right? We see what corporate and the owners have said, right? But we'll see how the fans receive it, right? And I think that's the true test if the needle is really moving, right? Because owners can say anything. Their money's at risk, right? So not denying that they feel a certain way, but they can say whatever they want. But when the fans, like if we see a change amongst the fans, or I don't think we will see that. I think the fans will be the fans. We'll see if people are banned for life for doing saying certain things. Like we see people lose certain jobs opportunities because they declare this another game. So I think it'll be interesting to see, because I think the Ville has been put over all the way, right? People getting fired left and right for funny stuff for Karens on social media. So I think it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, when the year starts, how that looks. I do want to see what happens with football fans, with the English Premier League fans, and with NASCAR fans. I'll be looking at that specifically because I want to see how their fans react to these quote unquote bold statements that the league has made, their leagues have made. Yeah.
Only time will tell. At the forefront of everything, though, we'll see how the NBA handles this
right.
This dissension within their rank.
Its own, right? So they gotta do it once again. Yeah.
Thanks for your time, bro. Where can the people find you at?
Enoch is Enoch on all platforms. Frank Taylor on Facebook, but Enoch is Enoch on Instagram and Twitter.
Thank you. I'm Isaiah Rose. Ask Isaiah on Instagram and Twitter. This is the GrAE area. Thank you guys for watching. We'll tap in with much more. Shout out to Sir Nix-a-Lot, David Nix Thomas. He'll be with us very shortly. We'll get back on with the trio. But thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for much more. Peace.